Can the Brewers keep this thing going in the second half of the season? Man, they are on a roll right now. Can they keep it going? Starting Friday night, Hunter Baumgardt will join us. Brewers Insider from 97.3 The Game in Milwaukee. That's next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I've had a little bit of everything. Walk-offs, just excitement, and it's been such a fun summer so far. We want to keep this thing going. The Brewers are playing such good baseball. Hopefully a couple of days off will not slow that roll down a little bit. Hunter Baumgardt from 97.3 The Game will be joining us here in a second. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Proud host of Locked On Brewers, longtime sportscaster here in the state of Wisconsin, and going to bring in not only colleague, but a friend of the show and a friend of mine, Hunter Baumgardt, 97.3 The Game, kind enough to join us on the All-Star break when he should have his feet up, relaxing by a swimming pool somewhere. Hunter, appreciate you coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Always excited to join you, Chuck, and ready for baseball to be back. I mean, the All-Star game was great, but let's get back to baseball here.
You and I both wish we had a little homestand, included a 6-0 homestand. But, most impressive the Milwaukee Brewers are. Like I said, walk-offs and everything. Can they keep this going? They're playing at such a high level right now. You almost hated to go into them and the Red Sox. You almost hated to go into the All-Star break because things were going so well.
Yeah, I think they have 66 games left, and I don't think they're going to go 66-0. But I think this is a team that has absolutely hit their stride. And obviously, there's you don't want to peak too early and everything like that. But with baseball, you get any win and it's going to be big. And so you just have to stack them up as you go through the season and to set yourself up to go into the last couple of weeks of July and then August and September like they have with one of the best records in the National League is quite impressive. I mean, sitting there 0-4, sitting there 4 under 500 at 21-25. You could highlight a couple of times in April and May where you didn't necessarily think this was possible to, even get to 10 games over 500. Now there's 16 games over 500 with that, like you said, that 6-0 homestand. And boy, they are rolling. And like you said, it's the All-Star break. You don't want that to slow down. Some guys were beat up. Sal Frelick, obviously one of them. You hope the rest is going to help, and they come into this Dodgers series still confident.
It's amazing. I looked to see when was the last time I had you on the podcast. It was May 15th. I think that was their low water mark, right? They were like 21-25. It was right around there.
It might have been 2 days later because they played the Twins twice, and I think May 18th is when you could kind of tell that they were starting to they won the series finale against the Twins. I believe it was May 18th, and then that kind of turned around. So you're right around there, and that was that was a part of the season where you're starting to think, okay, is this going to be about a 500 ball club? There for a couple of reasons. One is your pitching staff wasn't all fully intact. You were still dealing with injuries, still waiting for Woodruff to come back, and obviously you didn't know when Jacob Mizorowski was going to be up. But also the offense. The offense was not where it is now. But what were we saying back then? If they could just get an average offense, their pitching is going to be good enough to hold them in games. Well, look at now. Batting average, they're 15th in baseball. They have the average offense, and that shows that if you have that average offense and you got the pitching that you do, look where they are now.
Hunter Baumgardt are joining us. Hunter Baumgardt from 97.3 The Game, and of course, part of that terrific Milwaukee baseball post-game show with another good friend of mine, Tim Allen, and Pipe Bomb as well. Dave Gasper, too, another friend of the show. Hunter, you mentioned the pitching staff. That, to me, has been the most impressive thing. We all know how it started off at Yankee Stadium poorly, like one of the worst starts ever with that pitching staff. And I would have never forecasted just the amazing performances each and every night, not only of these starters and so many of these starters that they've used, and they've all contributed, and the bullpen as well. To me, that's been the most impressive. What's yours?
Yeah, I think the way the starters have come together once healthy, and that they because Freddie Peralta was really the only healthy guy coming out of spring camp. You still were waiting on Jose Quintana to build up. Obviously Woodruff. Obviously, your home opener starter was Elvin Rodriguez, who was designated for assignment a few days ago, is now on the Baltimore Orioles. So that was your home opener starter. So you were in a situation where you didn't know who was going to be starting next. Nestor Cortez, Aaron Savali were in part of that first series in New York that didn't obviously go the Brewers' way. And Nestor Cortez, we'll see when he comes back what their role for him is going to be. But I think overall, it's been once, Quintana was ready, once Woodruff came back, what they got in Quinn Priester. And these guys have just been so incredibly consistent. I mean, it feels like every single night, and it basically is every single night, you're getting 5-6 innings out of these guys, and they're holding opponents to 1 or 2 runs. And at that point, again, you just need your offense to be average, and you're going to win a lot of baseball games.
With Freddie Peralta, he's always been good. I didn't know if he was going to be able to take it to a next level like he has right now, Hunter.
Yeah, it's ace stuff. As Pat Murphy put it at the, after Sunday's game, he's went from a top of the rotation guy to an ace, and you could see that. I mean, this is a career year. That 2.66 ERA, that ERA is sitting at better than any year he's had in his career. Second best was 2021 when you had obviously, another All-Star appearance for Freddie Peralta. But that's what I love about Freddie Peralta is he's won some big games for this team. One is the series finale against the Twins on May 18th, which kind of, you could say, started this run. I think May 25th really started this run, but May 18th was a big one. The series finale in early May against the Cubs, if they would have lost that game, they'd been swept by the Cubs in early May. Freddie was the one on that Sunday to win that game. The second game of the series finale, you had the loss to the Cubs at Wrigley, then you had the rain out, and then you had the third game of that series. That was Freddie Peralta as well. He started some big games. Then obviously Sunday to complete the sweep of the Nationals and the entire homestand. He dominated the Dodgers earlier in the week to start the homestand. He's been that guy. When you think of a number one guy in a rotation, what do you want? You want a guy that can go out and be that stopper. Okay, no matter what's happened the last couple of days, we know our guy's going to go out and give us a chance to win. Now, you kind of feel that way about the entire pitching staff right now, but especially Freddie Peralta, he has been that guy this year.
With this weekend series, and the Brewers just swept the Dodgers. They're in L.A. now. I would love to see them line up with Freddie, Mizorowski, and Woodruff 1, 2, 3. They're not going that route. But if this was the postseason, that's the route they'd take.
Yeah, it would have to be. I mean, yeah. And what I love is, you also got a guy in Jose Quintana who you'd throw in there somewhere as well, maybe as out of the bullpen, whatever it happened to be. But I know a lot of people did want Mizorowski to face the Dodgers again. I kind of like what they're doing for 2 reasons. One, his last start was against the Dodgers. And no matter who you are, even if you're Jacob Mizorowski, not that I don't have confidence in him because I have all the confidence in the world in him because he got 12 strikeouts against the Dodgers. But you're facing the same team again, a week and a half later. In Major League Baseball, these guys learned, and especially with that lineup of Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. So I think that, kind of give him that one off and then start him in Seattle. The second reason I really like it is you're trying to extend the amount of days between starts for him because eventually there is going to be an innings limit. But if you can, extend as much as you can, maybe, who knows, maybe they do go 6-man rotation once Nestor Cortez comes back. We'll see, to try and go Mizorowski, longer and longer so you can have him for that, late September, maybe even into the postseason time as well.
Going with a 6-man, would lessen the innings on Mizorowski, but I don't know. I don't want Freddie going every 6 games. I want him in there.
I know. I don't necessarily think they will, but it's an option. They're going to try to find, the Brewers have always been creative when the way they use their pitching. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to find some creative ways to keep Jacob Mizorowski in the fold for as long as they can while also being aware of his innings.
I wonder if they do something like maybe have an opener for him and then have him pitch maybe 3 or 4 innings. And one of those kind of deals.
That could be.
DL Hall, they've done it with Priester and all that. Hunter, who is your first half MVP? Mine is Freddie. I said it on TV earlier today. It was Freddie. Who's yours?
Yeah, that's tough to argue against Freddie. I'll go, since you went Freddie, I'll go offensive side, and I'll say Sal Frelick. And that's why I especially when he went down on Sunday, it really worried me because I think he's really kind of that straw that stirs the drink. I mean, he's hitting over 300. He's hitting around 300 for the season, but also I think it's like 313 since he went to the leadoff spot, and he has been just the guy. He's the quintessential leadoff man. Of course, yeah, he has 7 home runs, and that's a lot more than any other year in his career. And that 25 pounds of muscle really help. But I think it's just the way he plays and the energy and the way he just connects also with the fans. I mean, nobody's ever going to be Willy Adames, but you were looking for who is that guy in the clubhouse, and who is that guy who is not only that guy in the clubhouse that you can see his competitive nature and the smiles and everything on the field, but you can also, that connects to fans as well. Sal Frelick has kind of been that guy, and he's backed it up obviously with his offense and then with his Gold Glove ability. So I would say Sal Frelick.
Hunter, hang on and take a quick commercial break. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers. Hunter Baumgardt joining us. 97.3 The Game. Your Brewers Insider. Good to have him aboard here. We come back. I want to talk more about Sal Frelick. Man, I'd love to have him against the Dodgers this weekend. We'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Game time. You're looking to get some tickets for the next homestand? Cubs are coming to town. Hey, Game Time is where it's at. You could save up to 60% on their killer last-minute deals. Game Time makes getting concert tickets easy as well. In fact, you want to get a ticket to an event or a couple of tickets, just go to their website or their app on your device, and if you click on the tickets that you want, it'll show you right where the seats are. So you have a view from your seats. So there takes the guessing out. You're going to go to every arena in the country, and they're going to show you exactly where you are sitting. So take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets and sports tickets. Go to Game Time. Download the Game Time app first. You got to download the app, create the account, use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. When you use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, $20 off. Download the Game Time app. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed with Game Time. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Unless you're Hunter Baumgardt, you don't need Game Time because you're getting into the games free anyway. He's got a press pass. So do I. We sit next to each other at games.
We do.
Hunter, we do. And there's going to be some October baseball, I feel, once again. Wouldn't have thought that maybe 2 months ago, second guessing it. Catching the Cubs. I think that's the number one question I get wherever I go. Chuck, are the Brewers going to surpass the Chicago Cubs? Now, the Cubs this weekend got the red hot Red Sox coming into Wrigley. The Red Sox have won 10 in a row. Milwaukee's got to go out to LA, and the Dodgers kind of turned things around the last 2 games in San Francisco. They won the final 2 to end their skid. Can the Brewers, Hunter, catch the Cubs and surpass the Cubs for this division title again?
I mean, yes. So, 2 reasons why. One is they're only a game back. That's the wild thing. I think the Brewers have spent so much of the season in that 5-6 games back range that it doesn't necessarily feel like they are 1 game back, but really they are right in this thing. I mean, they're a night away, a Friday night, a Saturday afternoon, whatever it is, being in first place in this division. So I think it is possible. Do I think the Cubs are a really good team? Yeah, I think they have a lot of good talent, but the Brewers continue to surprise us. And not that we thought they were going to be bad. And I think we were honestly, more surprised maybe with how the season started compared to what they've done since then, because this is just how Brewers baseball has been in recent years. They've found a way to put wins together. And I think this will be back and forth. I think this will be a battle down the stretch. I think both teams will add at the deadline. I think in what capacity we'll see, but I think both teams will be in this thing. I think the Cardinals won't really get within striking range. Maybe they get within a couple of games at one point, but I don't see them as a big threat. I think it's going to be Cubs Brewers down to maybe even the final week of September, but the 3 games in Milwaukee at the end of July and the 5 games at Wrigley in August, probably will decide it.
Hunter, when I was doing TV with the great Jerry Augustine today, and he said, you know what, do you have to make a trade on this team? I'm paraphrasing, because there's such great chemistry on this team right now, and there's so many different guys performing at different, whether it's Caleb Durbin, he's got 3 walk-off hits, and you look at his overall batting average, not good, but he's hitting well as of late. Ortiz hitting well as of late. and playing amazing defense. Do you worry about if they go and do something like that, they're going to, ruin maybe some of that chemistry that they got going on here? It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid question because, I mean, Pat Murphy himself has said multiple times, he talked about it last year and he said it again a couple of times this year as we lead up to the trade deadline, is you don't want to add the wrong person and you don't want to remove someone good or add the wrong person into the group, because that can happen. I think the Brewers are going to be very aware of that. I think any trade they do is always thoughtful. I mean, as we've seen, that's how they've sustained this success, is being thoughtful about their moves and their trades and their signings and everything like that. I do think that it's funny because I have heard this take from some people around me too, of like, let's just leave it because, but I also think that there is going to be times where maybe you do go through a little bit of a lull and you do need, that extra bat off the bench. What I worry about with the Brewers is the bench. It doesn't have to be this blockbuster, even, this Eugenio Suarez deal. If you just make a deal that bolsters your bench, and maybe Andrew Vaughn is that guy, once Rhys Hoskins comes back, you have kind of a different dynamic there, and Vaughn can come, you can play, you can be on the bench, or Hoskins comes out the bench, whatever it happens to be. But I feel like you need that one more bat off the bench that you can platoon, that you could, pinch hit in a situation. I think that's where you look to add, and maybe another bullpen arm, because that never hurts.
Well, we're going to watch Frelick here and see what the status. As of you and I recording this, we don't know how long Frelick. We know he's got a grade 1 hamstring that he aggravated on Sunday against Washington. He is, and you mentioned, how important he is at the top of the order, and he has been, and they've been amazing since he's moved to that top. But they would add probably Blake Perkins. He's going to be Blake Perkins, a major leaguer, and he's down at AAA. He's another one of those guys who probably could be on anybody's major league roster, and he would be the guy they slide in there.
Yeah, and I would think he'll be at the major league level, maybe even on Friday. I mean, we'll see how that happens. I also, as like you said, as we're sitting here, no moves have been made. I wouldn't be surprised if they just go, okay, let's get Sal 5 days. I know he's going to miss, the Dodgers series, but look, you're already 5 days in. When Friday hits, that's your 5th day already, because it's retroactive to Sunday. So like, if you're going to have Sal miss games, I feel like now is the time. I know you don't want to have Sal miss games, especially against the Dodgers, but it kind of makes sense. Perkins is ready to come back. So that would be really good. But yeah, you want Sal in that lineup as much as you can.
Well, it sounds like lately he's had a little bit of a hamstring issue as well. So I would be good just resting the guy, and I don't know if a couple of days off. It seems like it's a mild strain, but whatever it is, I just want you don't want that thing to be bothering him the rest of the season.
No, that would be really bad news if you somehow stretch him and all of a sudden we get to early September and he's not feeling well. And so I think honestly, the grade 1 hamstring strain is probably best case scenario out of what happened on Sunday, because it could have been, it just didn't sound good. Pat Murphy saying it hurt his heart when he saw it happen, like things like that. You're like, oh no, if this is grade 2 or 3, if this is worse, this could be a longer term issue, and that's not good for one of your top offensive players, top defensive players, one of your top players overall. So I think it's best case scenario, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're cautious with it.
Is there pressure on Matt Arnold to make a move? We will get to that with Hunter when we come right back after this. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. By the way, you got our podcast on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your audio podcast. We're the #1 Brewers podcast on the internet because you're great Brewers fans out there. And of course, you get us on YouTube. We've just reached over 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. Pushing for 10,000 next. Please subscribe. Hit the YouTube channel. Search Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe. Hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode on Locked On Brewers. And of course, the amazing post-game show they have on 97.3 The Game. Tim Allen, Pipe Bomb, Hunter Baumgardt out at the ballpark doing his thing. And Hunter, the fans, if the Brewers do not make a move here, they are going to be upset. They are going to be upset if it's even like a Carlos Santana, because, all us fans, we want to go for it.
Santana and Canna, those were good deals. Those worked. Those were.
It worked out, yeah. But I think fans want even something even better than that.
I know, but here's the tough part about this trade deadline. Something for everyone to keep in mind as we go down the stretch here. There are less sellers than there used to be because of how many teams get in the playoffs. And so there's less, especially, in the next week and a half, and I think that's why there's probably going to be more of a flurry of moves. You think about the Nick Mears deal and the Frankie Montas deals of last year. Those were right up against the deadline. I think you're going to see that more because you look at, you're 2 weeks from the deadline, and there are a lot of teams coming out of this All-Star break saying, well, if we win like 5 in a row, we could be back in the wild card race, or, those types of things, because there's 6 from each league that get in the playoffs. And so I think there's going to be maybe a less of a market as, for buyers, because there'd be more buyers than sellers. But I think there's deals that will be made. I don't know what that splash is. It's tough to say. Suarez, I guess, is the most talked about guy right now. So he's in the All-Star game and everything like that. And he's that bopper over there at third base. But I mean, Caleb Durbin is doing really, really well over there. He's hitting around 260. His defense has been good. Like you said, he's been clutch. I don't, I like Suarez, but there's no guarantee. I mean, you could have another Jonathan Scope situation, right? Where you have a guy who you expect to be better, but then is not. And so, do I think then, you could have Durbin in there? Yes. I think in a perfect world, you maybe upgrade a little bit at shortstop offensively and at least platoon, so you can have, but I love Joey's defense. So that's a little tough as well. I think Matt Arnold makes moves, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be, the huge splash. And I don't necessarily think it needs to be.
Oh, you mentioned that Nick Mears trade. I mean, that was a low-level move that turned out to be a pretty good move.
It did. Unfortunately, he was hurt for like half the rest of the season. But obviously, late in the season, playoffs. And then this year, he started out really hot, and he's been pretty consistent overall. And what you got was a year of control, after last year. So it wasn't a rental. Montas was a rental too, and Montas was okay down the stretch as well. So I don't think it's, I think it's bat and bullpen arm. I don't think they, obviously trade for a starter if they're going to, if they get a significant bat, they're probably going to have to give up, a significant starter.
Well, I was reading about the Padres today. If, the Padres, they're chasing the Dodgers. If they don't feel like they have a realistic chance of catching the Dodgers, should they go all in for a wild card spot? There might be teams that say, well, do we go in with a chance that we lose 2 games, then we sacrifice all this? And the Brewers might have been in that spot, but they're in a hunt for a division title. They have a better shot at a division title than the Padres do right now. So if you're going for just having a shot at the wild card, I can see where a team would say, well, if we're going to just slide in as a wild card, maybe we shouldn't be giving up some important pieces that might help us in the future. For sure.
And the Padres are in a situation where they're good enough. I feel like they got a lot of talent on that team where if you're going to a wild card series, and I like my chances if I have that lineup so I think there's part of that. You absolutely have to weigh that. The Brewers are always going to also look long-term, so that, they always will do that too. But what's great about, they put themselves in a position where, in May, there was some talk about a Freddie Peralta, right? A guy who's got 1 year left on his deal after this year, maybe getting traded, et cetera. Yeah. And if you do that now, it's Josh Hader 2.0. So I definitely do not think that is going to happen.
I didn't want to do it back then when these national guys, Hunter, were saying, trade Freddie. I'm like, what are you talking about, trade Freddie? In May? No. Hey, big 6-game road trip. Final thing. Big 6-game road trip. I'm worried the Dodgers are getting – I read some stuff about the Dodgers too, that they were not happy with the way they went on that little 6 or 7 game slide, and they want to right the ship a little bit. And, maybe there's some payback, hopefully not against the Brewers this weekend. Do you realize the Brewers, if they win 1 game against Los Angeles, they will have the tiebreaker against them?
Yeah, that's a big, you win this series. Just win the series. Heck, win 1, but win this series. I mean, we came into that series when the Dodgers came to Milwaukee last week that were like, just win a game here, and then they swept them. It's like, oh, okay. Do I think they're going to sweep the Dodgers again? Probably not. But you can just look. The Brewers are one of the best teams in the National League now, and so it's not a thing of like, oh, it's the mighty Dodgers. Like, and I think you mentioned Pipe Bomb Jeff Orlowski, who's on our baseball postgame show, and he said this really well. He's like, we always call the series against the Dodgers a measuring stick for the Brewers of where they're at. Well, it's kind of a measuring stick for the other teams, the Dodgers or the Cubs, because the Brewers are one of the top teams in the National League now.
Yeah, we got to get rid of that mentality about we got to win one against the Dodgers at home, right? I mean, this is a tough road trip because Seattle starting Monday night, not only with Raleigh, but Rosarina. God, that guy was on fire the last couple of weeks before the break. And I think the Seattle's got a team. I think they took 2 or 3 from the Tigers right before the break, but that's going to be a tough road trip. So let's get a 4-2 road trip coming back home next week when we celebrate the 25th of AmFam Field.
Yes, absolutely. A 4-2 road trip would be great. And just continue to win series and play, consistent baseball. And the great thing about this is you have a starting rotation that I feel like is going to keep you in every game. And so that's in order to be consistent and be a real, especially down the stretch, is you have to have good starting pitching to keep you in games. And boy, the Brewers definitely do. So that's why it makes me think that they're not going to fall out of this race at all. And they're going to be in it till the end. That's
Hunter Baumgardt, does great work. Brewers Insider, covers all the games. Find him on Twitter, by the way. Hunter, Bonair. Hunter Bonair.
Hunter Bonair, you bet. Yes. Fly.
Yes, Hunter Bonair. There it is. Hunter Bonair. And catch his work, and he won't be a stranger to this show, that's for sure. Hunter, let's have a fun second half of the season covering this thing, and we'll see you at the ballpark soon.
Absolutely, we will. Thanks for having me.
Hunter Baumgardt, great to have him on. And by the way, I get our podcast. You get it, Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your audio podcast. We're the #1 Brewers podcast on the internet. And of course, our growing YouTube page. Search Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. This is Chuck Freeman. Have yourself a great Friday, everybody.